job search? That is my question for you today. So I'm Diana Rostov. In case you don't know me, I am a career consultant living in Denmark, working with internationals in Denmark. And I think this question about control and who's in control is super, super important and interesting, because one of the things that happen when we are looking for jobs or when we are frustrated in general in our life is that we tend to focus on control. In some cases, we end up being very, very frustrated on the things that we can't control, because super easy to yell at and be unhappy about the things that we can't control, right? Because it's not our fault. So why can't we be mad at it? But the thing is that life only gets really interesting when you stop giving other people the control of your life, when you start taking the responsibility for what happens. One of the, I'm not going to put it up as sharply, but one of the people who is very adamant about this, that you are in control of everything in your life. Like, and this is out to the very uh, line of everything that happens in your life you're in control of. That is Tom Bilyeu. I talk a lot about him, I've realized. But he has some really good points, and sometimes they are very sharp. I'm not quite where he is on this, but I really do believe that life becomes really interesting when you realize that you're in control of your life. And what I mean by this is also that you need to start focusing on the things that you can control instead of focusing on all of the stuff you cannot control. Because if you are not happy with the political system, then usually for most people this is not something they control, right? So then figure out how to move inside those frames, or figure out a way to navigate that where you focus on what you can control. So for job seekers, it's about, I can control my networking, I can control my applications, what is it that you can control? The weather. You're on your way to a job interview and it's freaking pouring down. It's like, okay, so I dressed up, I look freaking nice, what can I control? I can bring an umbrella, I can even wear rain pants or whatever. I can control. I can bring makeup in my bag, I can bring an extra pair of shoes in my bag. Yes, I maybe don't have the most amazing nice bag, but at least you look good at the interview, and you don't need to be like anything big or anything, right? But the things that you can control, when you start focusing on them, then I'm going to say this, you take back control, right? Which, being unemployed and looking for a job can feel so powerless, that you end up feeling super powerless. And you can take back your power. You can start by figuring out, where do I have the power? Well, I have the power in how I present myself. I have the power in, by the way, I got called a dumpster on a video earlier today. I'm like, okay, I maybe didn't look my best, but it's fine. And thank you, by the way. I'm okay with that. But you can control how you look. You can control how you write your material. You can control how you network. You can control what courses you take, how you career develop. There's so many things that are actually in your control that can help push the outcome, that can help actually make a difference. Meaning that you don't control other people, but you can influence other people. So with that, what I mean is that when you do your best in terms of researching, do your best in creating your material, in upgrading yourself with doing courses and meeting people at on webinars or at conferences and stuff like that, gaining knowledge, you can use that and you can influence people because you become a better match. So you influence the people who are making the decisions by becoming a better match for the positions they have. I hope this makes sense. So these are the things that you can actually control. These are the things where you can also set this up in a way where you feel accomplishment, right? So that means these are the things that you can set goals for. Let's say that you set a goal of in terms of networking, that you want to have 2 networking meetings or 2 coffee meetings, as we call them, a week. That's a goal, and you get better and better at it. You increase your network, you get to know more and more people, you get to know more and more about the industry, but your metric goal is 2 coffee meetings a week. That means that you are in control of this. Of course, some people will cancel on you. There's always something, right? But then you reach out to someone else. And then some weeks it will be 1, some weeks it will be 3 meetings, but you are basically in control. And if someone cancels on you, what is your reaction? So are you reactive or are you proactive about this? Because if you're reactive, it's like, fuck, that sucks. But proactive will be more like, okay, you know what? I'm really sorry to hear that. When can we do this? I was supposed to this evening today have um a workshop with about trade unions in Denmark, where I've invited a guest into my network to speak about this. And she wrote me this morning like, hey, I'm sorry, I've fallen ill. And I'm like, fuck. But being proactive, I'm writing her back and saying, you know, I'm so sorry to hear that. And she was very nice about it. I mean, like, I can push through if we really need it. I'm like, no, 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 we don't do that. We're gonna proactively, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna say to the people who signed up for this, hey, come join a normal network session. You can join, see what the network is all about. That's one part. And to her, I was like, hey, that's okay, get well. Um, I'm looking at another date. How does the 9th suit you? And she got back to me, and the 9th is fine. That's amazing. So now a shitty situation ended up being a really nice networking meeting, by the way, that we just finished with, like, I think 15 people, um, which was really good. And it wasn't quite what people had expected, but I informed them and said, hey, I'm sorry, it's not going to be what it was supposed to be, but this is what it's going to be instead. And then, of course, come join the actual event. And now I have the date, so I can let them know, hey guys, again. So that's taking what is out of my control, but I'm being proactive and doing something about it that makes it a good experience. Hopefully, I hope people had a good experience. It seemed like it. So kind of figuring out, how do I run with that situation? So we were just talking about it in the network meeting actually. Like, okay, so someone asked, what if I am getting the call after an interview and I'm getting a rejection, and I'm in the metro, or what do I do? And it's like, okay, let's take a step back. First of all, if there's a number you don't know that's calling when you know that you're going to get feedback at some point from an interview, and you're somewhere where it will be super awkward for you to talk, and don't pick up the phone, it's okay. You are allowed to have a life, even though you're looking for a job, right? So create a situation that is most beneficial for you. So don't pick up the phone, get to where you're going. And if you have the time when you're reaching that place, then go somewhere quiet, call back, and get the information at that point. And then the next step, if you're getting rejected, then ask them, like, hey, thank you so much for your time. What did you focus on with the people you actually chose to invite for the next interview? Or what was the best trait in the person you offered the job? Because that's getting you knowledge. And again, what can we control? We can control our own knowledge. We can control what we do with what is happening to and for us. We can control other people's behavior. We can influence other people's behavior in a positive way. um, so again, it's showing that you are the kind of person who's also like, oh, I'm willing to learn. So basically, if you're calling and they are being like, oh, you know what, I'm so sorry you didn't get the job, you didn't get to the next round and stuff, but then you're showing them, like saying, you're not just calling them and saying, okay, so what did I do wrong? What about me? What about me? You're calling them and being curious and being like, okay, so if I were to apply for another job here, this is implicit, right? Because of what you're asking. You're saying that if I were to apply for this kind of position going forward with you guys, what would I focus on? What is it that I need to learn to get further in this process? So that would be what they focused on with the people they invited to the next step in the interview process. I hope that makes sense. If you are looking for a network in Denmark, feel free to reach out. We meet every Monday evening from 7:30 to 8:30 online. So even if you're not based in Denmark, but you feel like this would be a good network for you, you can join me and the other amazing people there to network and yeah, just be live and coffee meetings and all of that jazz. It's in your control, right? So have an amazing, amazing day and see you tomorrow.